Hello, people of the internet. What's up? We are 3/4 of the Congos Brothers. This is the Front Lounge, episode 30. And we got new cameras. We got the new setup. We're trying it out today, see how it goes. Let us know that you're hearing everything properly. Jesse's not here, and if you want to know why you missed the announcement last week, he has had a new baby girl, so he's a little preoccupied at the moment. And that means now that between us, we've got 4 daughters. I've got 1 and Jesse has 3. Yeah. And we're going to be retiring in 2 to 3 years once they're all trained up and ready to tour on our behalf. So that's what we're doing.
It's like the new Ghostbusters, except Congas.
You mean bad? I want to get straight off to talk about this. I posted a reel today, and then I'm going to talk to you guys about an idea for something for us to discuss. And I've got certain rules about how we have to discuss it. So this is what I posted on Instagram today. Just watch it real quick. Hey, Johnny Congas here, platinum certified recording artist and part-time amateur fashion critic. Now, I tend to stay out of political hot-button issues, but tomorrow is the midterms, and I feel like I have to use my platform to speak about something that I care deeply about. And that issue is these hats. Now, I don't know what they're called, but I am calling for a nationwide ban on these hats effective immediately. Now, I know some of you are going to disagree, and that's probably because you're wearing one of these hats right now, and you're probably one of my close personal friends. I'm not talking about you. You look cool in the hat. But the rest of you, please have some decency and just burn those hats and join me in calling for their outright ban. And for those of you thinking, wearing what I'm wearing, who the f*** am I to talk about fashion? You're not wrong. All right, so here's my thought. That hat, for some reason, I fucking hate it. On a girl, on a guy, they could be a 10, guy or girl. I just cannot stand that hat. It makes me think that the person is a disgusting human being. So now, what is the fashion thing that you like? Let's not get into a deep discussion about the origin, the meaning of fashion, what its purpose is. Just tell me, what is that thing for you that you fucking hate, no matter what?
I don't like those hats either. I mean, I think Paul Fott used to wear one of those hats. But yeah, what's the fashion? I don't know. I mean, even fedoras they're just kind of funny to me.
I'm not a fan of most hats, to be honest. The modern, like, I don't mind it in the 1800s, but mustaches that come a little bit, I can't stand those.
And you see a lot of those in Austin.
Yeah.
Not ironic or semi-ironically. Danny, anyway, think about it, because
Fashion. I generally don't like anything where someone tries to look rustic. You know, I think it's silly.
where it's new clothes that are rustic.
Yeah, or if they dress like linen-y. And like a man with chest hair coming through the linen shirt here.
Yeah, unless
you're an actual Greek, unless you're Anthony Quinn and you're in Greece, it just...
Yeah, if you're an old Greek, you get a pass.
Yeah.
I mean, if you gave us a heads up on this, like if this is a segment each week, then I can come with a laundry list.
Well, no, it doesn't have to be fashion. This week, I just thought let's talk about that. My point was, because I've watched back and listened back to a couple of our podcasts, particularly with us 4 brothers, we would start this discussion, and before you know it, we'd end up talking about the origin of fashion, or the deep and profound meaning of fashion. And we can do that in deep thoughts. For this type of segment, I just want people to say what it is you hate or love, and not second guess and try to overthink it. So yeah.
Well, if you added a feather to that hat, then that just takes it over the edge.
I know this guy, he wears a feather in his ear, so he wears a feather earring.
Yeah, I don't know there's a quote out there.
Well, hold on, we got people saying they're not hearing you guys. What the fuck?
Me and Danny?
Yeah.
Our mics are muted, they say.
Oh, shit.
Engelbert.
Dylan, just talk?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
Engelbert, let me put on this mix here.
No, it should be there now.
Can you guys hear me now? Give us a little... a little.
Hey. I mean, I'm in this mix.
But that's not representative of the
the
stream.
stream.
That should have fixed it. Let us know, guys, if that's fixed the stream. Yep, perfect.
Okay.
All right.
So you guys didn't hear what we said. It was just Joey talking shit or Johnny talking shit about hats. I said, if you gave us a week's notice, I could come up with a lot of stuff. It's hard to think of something now, but like modern day mustaches.
Waxed mustaches.
Yeah, I don't. They look kind of normal. A friend of mine had a picture of his great grandfather who was on a tug of war team, like a national or international champion tug of war team, and they all had these mustaches, and it looked legit. They all looked cool, and also because they were just grizzly men. Their forearms were like the size of my thigh, and they had these mustaches, and that looked cool. But if you see some guy in like Williamsburg or Silver Lake with one of these mustaches, that's kind of on the list for me.
Waxed mustaches, anything like that, like suspenders. If you look like what's it called? What's the band?
Mumford and Sons.
Mumford, yeah. If you look like, if you look like you sell beard oil, if you have a cleaver tattoo, if you're a chef, that kind of stuff. Like they always put like some kind of meat chopped up, tattooed on their arm. Like that was a thing for a while. I don't know. It's all fucking stupid. Linen clothing is silly, except for on actual foreign Croatians and Greeks. They look if they're in their environment because linen's a nice material, but. Anytime I see like a linen-y dude, he just seems like a pervert to me.
Oh yeah, we did give a pass to Greeks.
Yeah.
Mediterraneans, like it makes
comes
sense.
from there, but I'm like man bun linen. And Dylan dresses like that a bit, but it's not fashionable. It's more like practical. He's not like
these days. I just dress whatever like Amber gets me from the thrift store.
Right, yeah.
And
you kind of dress like that guy. Yeah.
Get me all that stuff.
It's not the same, though, because you have to be cologned and you have to be groomed, and then there's a certain kind of linen and a certain kind of necklace.
Grooming is a big part of it. Obviously, you want to groom yourself and not be filthy and stinky, but there's a point at which grooming takes any outfit and makes it unacceptable.
Right.
And Pernilla on the Twitch chat brought up something that I'm really glad she brought up because I hate this also. Geometric hairlines. Have you seen these? People that they're doing, it's like beard, particularly beard work. A well-groomed beard is a telltale sign that you're a horrible person. And they've gone to the point now where they're not just like, they'll do like a line down here. Fine, like it's a question of scale, but they also paint or do like a little white makeup to accentuate the lines so you look like you're in
Dude, this
a
is
video
our fucking
game.
podcast right here. Us looking the way we look, commenting on I think this is it. This is gold.
I mean, but again, the most you could comment about our fashion is
that it's bad.
It's bad. It's nothing. It's boring, or like you just don't look like you don't care or haven't put any effort into it, and that's all true. But it's better to not put effort into something than to put too much effort into something when it comes to fashion.
Yeah,
Poker tattoos. Those are stupid.
Poker tattoos?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I've been playing poker at these card clubs occasionally, and there'll always be a dude with, like, all the suits on his arm, It's just like...
But it makes it legitimate if you say, like, this thing saved my life. If you have a tattoo.
Gambling saved my life.
That's what I mean. Like, that, as soon as someone says this, this thing saved my life, or it made me, whatever, then you're like, you have to go, oh, okay.
My favorite tattoo is this guy I know. He's got a tattoo, and he was on Ellen. Like, it picked up as a bad tattoo. He did it as a joke. It says, "It is my life, John Bovey."
I was going to say, who's John Bovey? But John.
I'll tell you, living in Wimberley, and this is not a diss on Wimberley, it's actually a compliment. All my clothes are farm clothes now. They're all covered in paint and soil or whatever it is that we've been doing. And very few people dress up to go to like Ace Hardware, or they dress up to go to the things that you just are running your errands for the day. Like if you go out to dinner, people, will clean up a bit, but it's actually quite freeing to just never think about it. You just walk out of the house basically as you were working, because most people are actually working people that are trying to just get shit done. And so everyone looks normal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's the thing in LA when you go hike and everyone's dressed up just for a hike. beyond just like a nice some workout clothes.
I don't actually mind. I don't
dressed up.
mind that as much because as the Mumford and Sons thing. I find that incredibly annoying because it's like this weird obsession with a previous period or time. You know, it's like
Who posted the thing on our Twitter of the tennis group from like the 1920s? Did someone post it? It was colorized photos.
Yeah.
Maybe Jesse.
Yeah, it wasn't you.
I'm not criticizing the band or that. You know, there's a bunch
I'm saying
bunch
that
of tracks I like. I just fucking hate their clothes.
the colorized photos of the 1920s tennis team or something like that. And someone, you guys did a bunch of puns. Someone was doing a bunch of puns.
It must have just been Jesse because I don't think I was
It was
aware
like-
of that.
It literally looked like Mumford and Sons was holding tennis rackets.
Say My Name Friend on the Twitch chat says the least fashionable people talking about how much they despise real fashion.
Yeah,
What
exactly.
do you mean least? We're not. We're near the bottom. We're not the least. I would say.
Yeah. We're extremely fashionable. I think our attitude should be that we are the most fashionable. I don't mind glossy fashion. I don't mind. I think that's more in keeping with what fashion is.
I'll tell
I
you
have
what I don't mind.
I have a completely double standard with that though. Like, there's something about girls' fashion that I allow in my brain more leeway in terms of how glossy or how much effort's put into it. There's just something about guys going too much that it just annoys me.
I'll tell you, suits are the one thing that don't bother me at all. A good suit, basically.
Yeah, I guess because it's survived. If you go look at a suit
almost-
from the late 1800s up to now, there's been some small changes, but they're
It's like
not radically
almost-
different.
150 years or more that a suit has been around. I'd say maybe even more, like 200
Yeah, but you
years.
got to be like James Bond to make it look cool.
I don't know. A good suit makes anyone look better.
I like when they do all the G8 type summits because I feel like they all text each other in a WhatsApp group, all the leaders of the world, because there was one year there's no ties. All of a sudden they didn't have ties and they all buttoned their shirt down to here, and they're all it's all these it's like Boris Johnson and all these types of people. Just everyone's got the same fashion, and it catches on even for world leaders.
Yeah, I never noticed that. That's
All right, we got anything else to say about fashion?
Fashion.
no. I mean, what was
Someone told me I had good style the other day. I had on my '90s Italian jacket. I've got like a '90s.
Oh, like those, like
Windbreaker.
the windbreaker,
Yeah.
proper like New Jersey mobster type look. Yeah.
I think that's my inner being is actually Greek trash. Like Euro. That's my Euro trash is my inners.
What was there's I'm going to butcher the quote, but basically that most forms of fashion or any type of outer display of personality or fashion is just hiding in some inner insignificance or like inner.
Yeah, I mean, I think that can apply. Here we were meant to just talk about bad fashion, and we're getting into the philosophy of fashion.
Well,
but
I
yeah,
mean-
it can definitely. I think that makes a certain amount of sense, not just about fashion, but about most
Just about
outward
everything, yeah.
expression.
That's that David Mitchell thing. Not quite related, but he goes like when he's asked about his fashion, and he says, "I want to be unnoticeable, but not so unnoticeable as to be remarkable." So he wants to just not be looked at, basically.
Doesn't want to be noticed for his fashion,
Yeah.
but doesn't want to be noticed for trying to be not to be
Yeah,
noticed.
he wouldn't wear a grey suit, grey shirt, and a grey tie because that would be too unnoteworthy.
Let's talk about the news.
News. Events. Important. Gossip. Stories. Terrifying. Concerning.
This is the news.
This is the news. This is the news.
This is the news.
NPR is in deep thoughts. I feel like NPR should make an appearance in all of ours.
In the news, like the
in
news
anything.
stinger.
Yeah.
So I guess there's elections happening tomorrow, but more importantly, the Powerball jackpot is at $1 billion.
Again.
Yeah, and I guess this is where you won't pay taxes on it.
I keep seeing those headlines, so-and-so is a billionaire now. Over and over and over again.
California doesn't tax lottery winnings?
That's what this Twitter thing, or CNBC says on Twitter.
I have a hard time believing that. I mean, if it's on CNBC, it must be true. But
Yeah, I mean, it says here's the 8 states where you'd win the most, and where are they? California, Florida, New Hampshire, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Washington, Wyoming.
$1 billion.
yeah, I mean, if you won the billion and you walked away with whatever it is, 400 million at the end of the day, when you take the lump sum, great, that's awesome. But it's still fucking crazy that they're just like taxing the hell out of the whole country, and then the person who wins, they still take more than half of the money.
Not just that, the reality of what's it called, of a lottery is it is effectively a tax on people.
Oh yeah, it's just basically siphoning money out of the.
I don't have a problem with it. I just think it's bullshit. You can't have a home poker game in a bunch of states.
Oh yeah, I mean that's absolutely absurd.
If they want to, like, they're basically setting. It's voluntary. You're playing a game. They're setting it up. They're running it. They're making sure it's legit, and then you get taxed on it. It's fine. It's just ridiculous that you can't gamble for $20, but they can extract, kind of like meal money from people who are resorting to this because they're so desperate.
Yeah.
Like that's if in LA, I would always go to that gas station right by where we were at, and I went to go buy lottery tickets with like a bunch of coins, and I was in line with a bunch of people who were homeless buying lottery tickets during one of these big jackpots, and it was just like, this is legal, extract money from the most desperate people in the country. But yeah, it's just
Yeah. But if you want to play poker with your neighbors and friends,
right.
It just kind of says what your money is. It's that it's not yours. You're not allowed to have a friendly game with friends. What would you guys do with the lottery if you won that much?
I was just talking about this because I guess it's on people's minds, and it's revealing how kind of small-minded I am, because I literally can't stop thinking about pizza ovens, and there's a pizza oven. I just got this little Uni propane pizza oven. It's fucking amazing. And there's these ones that now show up in Instagram advertised to me, these Gosneys, and they're like $2,000. That's what I get.
Pizza oven.
That last time it was at $1 billion or 1.2 billion. I asked a bunch of people what they would do, and I played kind of the game of like tallying up how much money they would spend on these things. So I said, okay, obviously money is no object. What would you do? Give me your rundown. Everyone says the same thing. They'd buy a nice house, some land. Maybe they'd get a couple properties in like vacation places. They'd maybe give some money. They'd give a large portion of money to their friends and family and whoever else that they're close to. And by the time people were done going through what their list of things, I was like, okay, it was at 1.2 billion, and let's say you get $500 million at the end of it after taxes. I'm like, okay, well, you still have 450 million. What do you do with that? It's unfathomable how much money $500 million or $500 million or $1 billion is. You literally would have to try your hardest and be very creative to spend all that money.
This guy, when we were talking about this, a bunch of people were like, man, I would just stop thinking about money. And this other guy's like, no, I would think I'd be gambling. I'd be trying to turn this into stuff. He was like, I would try to turn it into as much as I possibly could.
Yeah.
With he's like, I'll try to make it, 20 billion.
It does bring up that question, like, what is enough? Because everyone looks at people that are way richer than them, like it's going on right now with Elon Musk. And I'm not even taking a side on this Elon Musk thing, but like people hate him. I think a good portion of it is just people hate rich people because they're richer than them. Then some of it's because they are assholes. But you have to ask yourself the question of when would be enough, because the vast majority of people living in America that can afford to sit and watch us podcasting now, and us that can sit and afford to just sit around on a couch and talk about a lottery, we're doing pretty damn well compared to most of the world. And yet every single one of us constantly is thinking about making more somehow. So like, when is enough?
I think you're trying to get me to look at myself, and I really don't like that.
Well, they've done, I don't know who they are, but there have been studies done on what that number basically is. And it depending on what country you're in, but in America, it's somewhere around like 90,000 or 100,000 a year.
A year,
if you're not
Even
if
where
you're
there's
like a family
diminishing
of six.
returns on happiness.
Yeah,
or
the
something?
happiness when you can cover all of your basic needs, have a vacation where you're not stressed about the money that you're making for, or you having to stay late at work or having to work overtime, those kind of things. Then there's clearly a correlation between more money and happiness, and then at a certain point, there's no correlation, and it doesn't actually matter. 100,000's not enough for me.
Yeah, I've seen those studies. It makes a fair amount of sense. The thing that's left out from those studies is if you have kids, thinking about the future of your kids. Not just that, if you're in America particularly and you have to go to hospital for 3 days, that could be all of your money gone.
Yeah.
Like those kinds of things. So you do start to get into a bit of a hoarding mentality that's obviously naturally built into us. Like we like to hoard food because we don't know when the winter is going to be really bad. So there is that, but you do start thinking like, well, I care about my kids and their kids, and maybe they're the kids of those kids, because you might in some situation meet them. Like we met someone the other day that was with their great granddaughter. So you can see the lineage there. Do you care about 50 generations ahead?
I always think of monetary policy when it comes to this stuff, because it's taken for granted. Like when people, the Fed or whatever is trying to achieve a 3% inflation rate. And if you talk to people who are anti-production and productivity for the sake of it, they'll still embrace that idea that you should incentivize not saving money by slowly devaluing the currency,
Right.
So that people are incentivized to use it, and that everyone just takes that kind of for granted as that's how you run an economy. And what is the systemic effect of telling people that they need to constantly do stuff and achieve more, and because everything's going to disappear at some point. People are in their minds are just always hustling, even if they have enough, even if they have plenty, they're just always hustling.
Yeah. Nevertheless, when you get to that, well, just to get back to how much money is enough, when you get into the tens of millions, it's basically arbitrary then, when what is enough, because it's clearly enough, then it's a psychological problem. I mean, you could say it at any point. At 100,000 it's a psychological problem that you have. But
I think when you have enough money to get a dick surgery,
inflated by 3%.
As soon as you can make your dick bigger, then you've got enough money. Yeah.
I'm so surprised they haven't remade that movie Brewster's Millions. It was from the 80s. It had Richard Pryor in it, and the premise was a guy's great uncle leaves him $1 billion inheritance or whatever it was at the time. But there was a game, basically. He had to spend $100 million on things that you couldn't go buy a house. He had to just spend it on completely, disposable things. And if he couldn't spend the $100 million, he didn't get the inheritance of the billion or whatever. So, it's like an interesting little premise for a movie, and it's amazing they haven't, of all the movies they've remade, I feel like that's a perfect movie to remake.
Yeah, that's a good premise. The lottery being at $1 billion, I think that's why it was so interesting to talk with people about what they would do, because when you're left, you can do everything you want. You buy literally thousands of acres around the world and give your family tens and hundreds of millions of dollars, and you're still left with hundreds of millions of dollars. What do you do? It actually brings up a bit of an existential question of, now you've bought time. That's what you've done. You've bought unlimited time until you die. And there's a documentary called The Gardener, which is about this guy in Quebec, and it resonated with me, obviously, but he came from an elite, billionaire, wealthy family, and he tried his hand at his own businesses multiple times, and basically they all kind of failed, or he wasn't really passionate about them. So after 10 or 15 years of giving all his efforts to try to start these businesses, he decided to just make use of his money. He was unlimitedly wealthy, and he started building this garden on his property in Quebec on 25 acres. And it sounds kind of silly at first, but if you watch it, it's one of the most inspiring documentaries. He built this unbelievable. Like, it's about an hour and a half documentary, and each 20 minutes you think, oh, it can't get more amazing than this, what he did with this piece of property. And it just becomes more and more amazing as the documentary goes on. And he ends up being, he and his wife end up being hugely influential in national gardens and donating parks and lands and keeping gardens in a I don't know what the term is, like in public spaces, so that the public can go and visit them. And so like I think he basically gave up with the idea of just trying to create more wealth for him or his family, and trying to create something more interesting and less temporary. Like what he and his wife ended up doing. Some of the gardens around America are going to be visited for hundreds of years, probably.
Yeah. That's the movie there I'm showing up on the screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I watched that with you.
Where is it on?
I think it's on Amazon.
Yeah.
65 million, that's my number. I've thought about this a lot. I would give it away to family. The question starts to become whose family, like how far out on family do you go? Like, I'd give you guys, I'd split it up with you, mom and dad, my wife's family. But then it starts being like, well, what about Dylan's wife's family? Like, how does it keep going? You know, like, how far do you go?
It's so much money. I would love to just.
I would just give it to one of you.
Yeah, it'd start a fight. Yeah,
It's so much money. I'd love to do pranks and funny like
Yes.
donations where you anonymous donations, but not to appease yourself, but or like make yourself feel better. Or that you're doing something virtuous or good, but just to watch people's reactions. I'd love to see what people act like when they just have $1 million like shows up on their front door.
I think I've said this before, but I would put at least 20% of it into stupid PSAs, either billboards or like football, Super Bowl commercials, but just dumb shit posts. like basically take the internet, like our tweets or my reels, do them better. With $1 billion, I could do better, but I would just post those on the Super Bowl, like just some dumb joke on the Super Bowl. Yeah. All right, let's do, what was next? I had something I wanted to talk about. Oh yeah, this was it. Screen capture. Let me just, so that's the film, The Gardener. Powerball news. Okay, this is a guy Danny said we should check out and follow. I don't think his had any music. I'll play one of them.
Oh, mine was the baker, but this guy's funny too.
Oh, yeah. This one doesn't have any music?
No.
And what's his account? Audio Opera.
Audio opera, yeah.
Audio
really
Opera. Funny dude.
I found the secret in how to unlock your mutant superpowers. I was taking a bath with my soda stream to make it fizzy, and then a bunch of batteries fell in. I lost all muscle control, which is a terrible superpower, but I'll take it. And then you take your batteries and you put them in before you get in. The key is you can't use batteries that are plugged into the wall. I found the secret in how to unlock your mutant superpowers.
Oh shit, I'm on the wrong page. Sorry there. Yeah, I'd never seen that guy. He's funny.
He's got a weird take on everything. He just does these kind of characters. It's a bit like Kyle Mooney was before he joined SNL.
Right. Yeah. Is he still on SNL? Is anyone?
No, I think he left.
He was one of those people that I felt like SNL was just gonna crush what was unique about him. You know,
I think his stuff takes more time. You can't do it once a week. You know, it's like he just needed a longer time.
Yeah, slow growing character sort of thing. So
you
that's
just can't pump out something. You can't put your finger on why what he's doing is funny.
right.
You know, so you can't like pump that kind of thing out.
So that was a good thing from the internet and from social media. Let's do another good thing, and then we'll go to the bad thing.
This guy's got music, I think.
This guy, so I won't play any of these clips because we don't want to get our stream pulled.
No, just mute them.
Oh, yeah, okay. Cedric Grolet
Yeah.
on Instagram. I'm assuming he's on TikTok and all the other ones.
He's like, you know, he's one of these bakers that does like immaculate stuff, but it still looks like food. It's not just like a sculpture.
Yeah. So I just play one of these.
Yeah.
We could just do commentary while we watch it.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff looks real good. See, I don't see, like, he does these things like this, and I've seen him make croissants and all that kind of stuff, and he doesn't seem to have to do what they do, where layering in the butter and all that.
But maybe it's when he shows you that dough, it's been pre-folded, multiple folds or whatever.
I don't know.
Yeah, what I do like about his, compared to that other guy, the chocolate chef, who is undeniably amazing artist,
Just never wanna eat
it's
it.
not edible.
Yeah.
It's like it's sculpture, and then you're like, well, it's a lot of food to just do a sculpture with, you know?
Yeah, this guy's stuff just looks
Dang,
incredible.
that looks good.
Yeah.
It's crazy how popular food accounts are, because
Wait,
everyone's.
creme brulee in a croissant.
I don't know. It was like a custard or something like that. Look at that big,
This one?
yeah, up, no, up. Yeah, that. What is that? I like all the tools these dudes have now.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he's cooking for multiple, like it's catering or like at a very
It's a
massive bakery.
big, yeah, it's a big bakery, yeah.
Those ovens would be cool to have.
Yeah, they all have steam injection.
Jay.
Damn, man.
Dang.
Dang.
I get why food accounts are so big, because you're just
Yeah.
watching like salivating. It just so.
You also get incredible ideas from, I feel like it's the only good part of Instagram.
Yeah, it's inspiring if you like to cook.
Yeah.
I also
Seeing
like
how something's done is so much.
Yeah, I don't like doing recipes. I don't like to follow them, but I like to look at them for ideas, because I feel like, I don't know, I guess it's the Yaz musician in me or something. I want to, like, give me an idea and then I'll figure it out myself, sort of thing.
I think there's validity in following a recipe because it gets you out of your routine.
Yeah. Or at least once, but those type of people that cannot cook if
Yeah.
there's not a book in front of them talking about it. Okay, good on the internet. This dude, where is he? Okay. He might be good, he might be bad, I don't know.
What is it?
Good morning, beautiful soul. How's your heart?
Is this a parody?
No. It's just hundreds of videos like this. I mean, he's a good-looking guy. I can get why people would follow him,
What? I mean,
but it's creepy, right?
yeah.
May you practice faithfulness.
Oh, he's like Jason Silva.
Yeah.
Faithfulness to your heart.
So I'll just play one more.
I love when people take words and they're like faithfulness.
Good morning, beautiful soul. How's your heart?
So
Wait,
say my name,
every
friend.
video starts like that?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just keep scrolling.
Repetition is key, dude.
Yeah.
Good morning, beautiful soul. How's your heart?
He started to slow down as you go up. You see how it's like here now. It'll be like,
Good morning, beautiful soul.
He's got his Patreon there.
How's your heart?
say my name, friend, on the
Whoa.
on the Twitch chat says I can feel the energy leave my soul.
Dude, look up Jason Silva.
That
Oh, we've done Jason
yeah.
Silva. He's
the best, though.
OG
Yeah.
of this. Yeah.
why?
He has a Patreon.
You know what? I respect him because he kind of started it. Or he's like, you know,
Yeah, I don't. I still, if, for anyone that doesn't know, just go search Jason Silva. He's amazing, and I still don't know 100% whether he's like in on the joke or not.
I don't know. He's epic though.
why do we feel so uncomfortable when? Like, why do I feel so uncomfortable when I see something like that?
Well, you know what they say when you
It's like
see
almost
something.
a form of fear.
Yeah, when you see something in someone else that you don't like, it's generally because it exists in you, and that's maybe what's so scary about it. Is like when you talk to someone and you're trying to say something profound,
sincere.
you're basically just doing that guy.
Yeah.
But no one's that. I've not seen someone do it that bad.
How's your heart?
How's your heart?
I think it's anything spiritual, anything with an ulterior motive, basically, and under the guise of spirituality or whatever, is creepy.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to 15 years from now, the set of documentaries about Instagram spiritual influencers and the web of sexual betrayal and harassment that went on. Like, we've been through that all those years now. We're watching all the old gurus that did that. It's going to be a new bunch of, the documentary will be a bunch of inappropriate DMs, basically.
Yeah.
All right, that's the good, maybe bad part of the internet, that guy. Do you want to talk about music? Oh, Pernilla's saying family channels. Have you seen those guys? Where it's it'll just be like a family, the Smiths, with a billion followers, and it's a live blog or vlog of their life, and it's way oversharing.
Yeah, it's inane.
Okay, so let's just talk about the music that we found this week. Tinari Wen has a new album out. I think it came out last week. It's actually really cool. And they've I don't know if they're with a new producer or what. There's more programmed drums, it sounds like, but they've done some really cool shit. I'll pull up this might help people see it better. Amud Falas Al Jalat is a song off the new album. Some really cool tracks on that. It's nice to see them changing up their sound but keeping true to what it was. And then I came across a Paul Simon album that got recommended to me called You're the One, I believe is the album, but there's a song called Darling Lorraine. I don't know if you guys have ever heard that song. No. It's got a line in it for my lyric choice this week that says, all my life I've been wandering, wandering. Not really. I've mostly lived near my parents' home. And it's one of the funniest, but also it's something deep in there that he's talking about, It's a great song. You think it's kind of obvious up front, it's a breakup, a relationship song, but melodically he takes it always in interesting places, and this one's particularly interesting, I think.
Look up that article. I think it's, I don't know, Paul Simon overrated article, something like that a bunch of people responded to. Rick Beato responded to it. That's worth watching. Just, if you look up Rick Beato's. Yeah.
Is that it?
No, type in Rick Beato.
How do you spell that?
Rick and then B-E-A. B-E-B. B-E.
Oh, E-A.
Yeah. Rick Beato. Yeah.
This?
Yeah.
What you're saying? Watch it.
Oh, no! That's not the right one. It's Rick Beato responding to it. Go down a bit. Rick Beato goes off. Go down a bit. Link there. Click that link there. Yeah. Random boomer journalist says, "What about Paul Simon?" I kind of like the fact that he did this, even though.
So, last night, a couple friends of mine sent me an article that came out. It was on this site called NBC News Think. So it's part of NBC News by some writer named Jeff Slate. Okay, Jeff Slate is some singer-songwriter from New York City that writes for other magazines and newspapers like the Wall Street Journal and Esquire, Rolling Stone. But basically, he's just an unknown singer-songwriter from New York. So he's talking about Paul Simon and how Paul Simon is not going to be known 200 years from now. Let me read you some of the things that he says. This is incredibly offensive. He starts out by saying, the best day of Paul Simon's life may have just been December 7th. It was the day that they announced that Bob Dylan, Simon's longtime Columbia Records label mate, sold his catalog to Universal Music Publishing. Well, maybe the biggest date in Paul Simon's life might have been when he got married or when he had a child. That was probably the biggest date, not when Bob Dylan's catalog got sold. I mean, they obviously don't have editors for articles like this. Then he says, always a ruthless operator, Simon no doubt saw the sale of Dylan to the rival company as a golden opportunity. Okay, so I just made
I'm so with this. I haven't watched this, but I'm so with this guy. This fucking people writing articles about legends like from the outside is so stupid.
But he's also he gets into the music, and it's like he's always got a really interesting take on songs because he recognizes greatness in songs musically. You know, he's always pointing out the kind of obscure.
You're saying this Rick Beato guy?
Beato, yeah.
Beato.
He's always pointing out obscure chord changes in Beatles songs and that kind of stuff, and just pointing out to people who might not otherwise realize why something's different. You know,
Right.
why, you know, because that humming game we were playing the other day revealed that. We were at around a bonfire, and someone started playing this game where you have to hum a song, and then people guess it as quickly as they can. And none of them were really musicians. Even Amber, though, who can sing well, she would pick songs that were like not easy to guess, basically. And no one seemed to recognize the role that melody played and distinct melody played in being this identifiable marker.
Yeah, and just some things that are slightly outside of the pentatonic scale, because if basically all melodies, if they're pentatonic scale and they're within an octave, and if your timing's not perfect in terms of the rhythm of the melody, it could be one of a million songs.
Right.
But like Amber and I were playing it the other day, and we try to think of songs that are more recognizable. Sing a Stevie Wonder song or any of the jazz standards or anything like that, and it's like instant. You know what it is.
Right. And same with a lot of Paul Simon stuff and a lot of Beatles songs, and like there's. Yeah, so this fucking idiot journalist, like it's just clickbait, and it's just also just like, just do something else with your life.
Yeah.
Like, why do you need to do that? Just go do literally anything else. You don't need to do that.
Bean Burb over on the Twitch chat says the quality of newspapers, he's asking, I guess, has the quality of newspapers gone downhill ever since they haven't had real space constraints for their papers because it's digital, which is a good point, like, yeah, you had gatekeepers before, but now if everyone's allowed to print 3 billion words, you're going to end up with a bunch of shit.
I think the quality is linked to the fact that they can't rely on sales. So, I mean, there's always been shitty journalism and propaganda and all that. Like, that's nothing new. But if you could rely on your paper being bought every day, you had room for actual journalism because the paper is going to be bought and people had to read what was given to them. And now they're just going for advertising and just going for clicks. That's why they're encouraging douchebags like this to write articles like
that. So who is Rick Beato?
He's this producer slash music educator, but he's unbelievable music educator. He's got like, he's a bit like Jacob Collier,
right?
But his YouTube channel is ridiculously good and educational.
Huh. All right, Dylan, what was your song for the week?
Song is Coringrato. This Roberto Murillo.
Right, yeah, he's a
version. I just had my Apple Music came on shuffle this morning when I was driving here, and this was like the second song that popped up.
He's like almost a national hero. Italy, I believe he's from Napoli. He's a Neapolitan singer style from 60s and 70s.
His songs all have to be done in under 90 seconds.
Yeah, like the pizza.
Yeah, I mean, it's all in the same kind of emotional spectrum of music. I feel like Italian music, Puccini and all this what would you call it? Folk standards, like Italian standards, kind of.
Yeah, these are Coringrato is one of the classic Neapolitan folk songs, I believe.
Yeah, it's for me, it's all kind of in one emotional range of songwriting, but it's the best of that. Like Italian songwriters for me are some of the best melodic writers of all time.
Yeah.
And this is a nice recording of it. The vocals really nice. It sounds olden days, but not ironically. And yeah.
There's a couple good versions of Coringrato to check out. One of them is by Enrico Caruso, like the original opera legend before Pavarotti. He was around the turn of the century. Pavarotti has a version of Coringrato. And then in The Sopranos, you remember Junior Soprano, the uncle? He sings it at some like dinner party or dinner thing they're having at Tony Soprano's house, and they all just kind of sit there and like tear up a bit. And he's an actual singer. He's got recordings of it out. The actor Dominic Chianese or something like that.
Joe Pesci was a singer.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
like crooner stuff?
Crooner, yeah.
I've
He's got a
seen
bunch
he's
of
good,
albums. He's actually good, yeah.
There's a few late night shows he did. Yeah, if you want to feel nostalgic, basically listen to Italian music, I feel like.
Yeah,
Nostalgic of anything, whatever it is, if you want to have some, which is a really nice feeling sometimes. Nostalgia is like an interesting feeling. Italian music brings it out in me, at least.
there's a couple of these country artists we've been getting into, George Jones, that it's different, but I think they're on the same vein of that.
Yeah.
I don't. The melodies are not quite the same, not in the same league of that. But you can. It's an old man thing. I think partially that the specific realm of
Drunk old.
yeah, because it's the same with the Greeks, and they've all their lyrics. I've read some of those the Zebekiko Greek music that we listen to. Read some of those lyrics. They do not translate, but I know that they're not bad in Greek.
Right.
When you translate them literally, it's very awkward sentences about your heart and the moon, and like they seem corny, but I know they don't come across that way probably in Greek.
Yeah.
So then you had a lyric, Dill.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I apologize. This was last minute. I had my clocks and times messed up, I think, because of daylight savings. So I was like, literally put this in there 1 second before the stream went live. But we were listening to it the other day. We were listening to Dire Straits. On every street, a 3-chord symphony crashes into space. The moon is hanging upside down. I don't know why it is. I'm still on the case. It's a ravenous town. And you still refuse to be traced. Seems to me such a waste, and every victory has a taste that's bittersweet. And it's your face I'm looking for on every street. I don't have much to say about it.
Yeah.
The whole lyric is good because it's not... on the surface, it seems quite obvious what he might be saying. He's been searching for a woman that got lost, but then you read it a few times, and it's not actually... It's a little bit of a mystery of what it might be about. And I like lyrics that have some mystery to them.
I feel like Dire Straits are the most experimental, biggest band, if you know what I'm saying. Like Pink Floyd, but I don't know. Like, I think Dire Straits is a better band. Like, you can't. I'm not criticizing Pink Floyd records; they're amazing. But Dire Straits is like they're like a jazz musician level band in their style, and they're really fucking experimental with what they do. And then everything about them, they shouldn't be as big as they are, and most people don't know they're as big as they are. But that album, I think it's on every street. The album, or the one that has Money for Nothing on it,
Brothers in Arms.
Brother in Arms. Yeah, they had, I think it's 30 or 40 million album sales.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Of that.
I like Mark Knopfler's guitar solos better than Gilmore's, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
there's more Dire Straits that I listen to.
Yeah. All right, Danny, you got some songs for us?
Yep. This one is, I just got one song here from Madison Cunningham. Common language, short little phrase. Similar hearts speak dissonant phrases, and different souls speak a common language. By Madison Cunningham. I think she's like the best new thing to happen. She's very current right now.
Yeah.
Really good guitar player, riff writer, songwriter, interesting songs, good singer.
Yeah, I forget how you came across her. As a documentary you saw.
There's a documentary with this guy, I can't remember his name, but he makes these rubber, it was playing at South by Southwest, he makes these rubber bridge guitars that got really popular with all of these kind of LA, like the new Laurel Canyon-y type people, like Blake Mills and all those. I mean, they're not in Laurel Canyon, but there's like a strain of Californian producers and musicians happening right now, and they all got onto this.
But are you saying Blake Mills isn't from like Nashville or something?
No, he's from Malibu. He's an amazing slide player. He doesn't sound
I know it became a trend, but I love the sound of those rubber bridges.
I think they're cool, yeah. And she played, she was in the documentary and she played a song live by herself. It was just fucking really good.
Yeah, see, every now and then I find new stuff.
Yeah.
Or you people find it. There's a guy called Fred Again, because I was on that podcast on the guest list with Kenny Carkeet and Colin and Dante and all those guys, and they asked me, is there anything new I'm listening to? And I don't think I've ever answered that question with anything. I'm usually like, nope, I don't like anything that's going on. And this Fred Again, he's an English electronic dude doing looping type stuff, but he's kind of next level what he's doing with it. And it's like, finally, okay, someone's taken the new instruments, the new tools of music, and is not just hitting play and looping shit in a simple way. And he's doing some cool shit.
Yeah, that I was talking to this dude about movies, and we got into Quentin Tarantino. It was one of the first things we talked about, and he said, I said, I hesitate to say this because it's always like a point of contention, but I just don't like Tarantino. And I said, I like True Romance and I like Natural Born Killers because he didn't direct them.
Right.
And
he wrote them.
But then he said, so you didn't like Pulp Fiction? I said, no, I didn't like Pulp Fiction. So then his next response was, do you like anything? And I was like, yeah. I started just listing movies, and it's funny how there's if it's like sacred cows almost. You know, if you say you don't like something, then you get leveled with cynicism. And I feel like it's the opposite. I think it would be cynical to pretend I like that. That's cynical.
I have it if someone says they don't like the Beatles. I kind of go, how?
There's a generation of people that don't get it. There's a generation
They've only heard Hold My Hand or something like that. They've only heard like the very early pop stuff.
No, I will say this. I had never listened to the White Album as an album, like top to bottom. And I did it like a month or two ago. And I kind of get what some people are saying. Like Max Collins doesn't. I don't know if he.
No, he likes the Beatles.
Yeah, but he's also. Yeah, I wouldn't say he doesn't like the Beatles, but he's also talks a lot of shit about the Beatles because what did he say? It was actually in the character of Chevy, but I could tell Max was saying is like it sounds like fucking carnival music or something. And
that's true.
If you don't listen to their, if they hadn't written the 50 like genius songs they'd written, and you just cherry picked all the ones where it was the style of the Beatles, the production of the Beatles, but they just didn't nail the song, it does sound like carnival music.
Yeah, but that's like anything. I mean, they put out 200 plus songs.
In
8 years.
8 years.
Yeah.
And of those, like literally 50.
Drake did that last week. What's your point?
50 of them are fucking brilliant.
Yeah. All right, guys, that's the podcast for this week. This will be up on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all those places, probably later on this evening or tomorrow morning. We have started a new YouTube account where we're going to post these after the fact. That is the Front Lounge Podcast. It's just a kind of, it's empty YouTube account for now, but we're just going to let these live there so we don't clutter up our main music YouTube account with that. Other than that, subscribe or go to our Patreon if you want to support the podcast, and we can keep getting cameras to make us look better. And then maybe next week I can have all the mics on first thing. But that's it for us this week. Good to see y'all. Bye-bye.